When did you realize your parents kept moving the goalpost for you and your sibling? My brother Scott, 29 million, has always been the golden child in our family. He was the star athlete who got a full ride to college before dropping out sophomore year to find himself. Meanwhile, I, 32F, worked 2 jobs through school and graduated with honors, but that somehow never measured up to Scott's potential. The problem was that our parents never saw Scott's failures as failures. They were always just temporary setbacks on his path to greatness. I can remember exactly when the favoritism started burning a hole in my chest. Scott got a car for his 16th birthday while I got a lecture about responsibility and how I needed to save up for my own. I spent that night crying into my pillow while he revved the engine in the driveway. When he wrecked that car driving drunk 6 months later, our parents bought him another one and paid for the best lawyer to get the charges dropped. When I asked for help with my college textbooks, they told me I needed to learn the value of hard work. The unfairness of it made me physically sick. I tried not to let the bitterness consume me. I told myself that once we were adults, things would even out. Scott would have to grow up eventually, and our parents would see that I was the responsible one. But that never happened. Scott bounced from job to job while I built a career with no help or acknowledgement. He lived in our parents' basement until he was 25 while I moved out at 18 and ate rice and beans for months. He had 3 failed engagements that our parents funded elaborate parties for, while they told me my wedding needed to be small because they were on a fixed income. Each lie cut deeper than the last. Everything came to a head last month at our dad's retirement party. I'd organized the whole thing because Scott was too busy, even though he was between jobs again. I'd booked the venue and the catering and sent all the invitations while working 60-hour weeks. Scott showed up an hour late in a new suit that probably cost more than my rent. Our mom gushed over how handsome he looked while I stood there invisible in the dress I'd worn to every family event for the past 3 years. During dinner, our dad gave a speech about family and supporting each other through thick and thin. The hypocrisy made me want to scream. He talked about how proud he was of his children and how he knew we'd always be there for each other. Then Scott stood up with that entitled smirk and announced he was starting a new business venture. Some app idea that sounded exactly like 3 other apps that already existed. Our parents beamed at him like he'd just cured cancer. "We're so proud of you for following your dreams," our mom said with tears in her eyes. "It takes real courage to be an entrepreneur." I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. This was Scott's 5th business idea in as many years, and none of them had made it past the planning stage. But I smiled and clapped because that's what I always did while rage built in my chest. After dinner, I went to the bathroom and overheard my aunt talking to my mom in the hallway. "It's so wonderful that you and Bill can help Scott with the startup costs," my aunt said. "$20,000 is a lot, but I'm sure it'll pay off." I froze. $20,000. The room spun as years of lies crashed over me. My parents had given Scott $20,000 for another one of his doomed business ideas. The same parents who told me they couldn't help with my student loans because money was tight. The same parents who watched me work myself sick without offering a dime. I stormed out of the bathroom and confronted them right there in the hallway. My mom's face went white when she saw me. $20,000? My voice shook with rage. "You gave Scott $20,000? Sweetheart, it's not what you think." My mom started with that condescending tone. "Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been lying to me for years about not having money to help me while you bankroll Scott's failures." My aunt tried to slip away, but I wasn't done. "No, please stay," I said. "I want witnesses for this." My dad appeared then with Scott trailing behind him, wearing that same entitled expression he perfected over the years. They both looked guilty, which told me everything I needed to know. "How much?" I demanded. "Over the years, how much money have you given Scott while telling me you couldn't help?" Nobody answered at first. Then Scott shrugged with infuriating casualness and said, "It's not like I kept track." "I did," I said, my hands trembling as I pulled out my phone and showed them the spreadsheet I'd been keeping for the past 5 years. Every time they'd mentioned helping Scott with something while turning down my requests for help. By my count, it's close to $100,000. That's not including the cars or the lawyer fees or the apartments you've paid for. My parents tried to defend themselves with the same tired excuses. They said Scott needed more help, that I was so capable and independent, that they knew I'd be fine on my own. "So you punished me for being responsible?" The words came out broken. The room went silent. Finally, my dad said, "We never meant for it to seem like punishment." But that's exactly what it was. I made my decision right there. "From now on, you can consider yourselves a family of 3 because I'm out." Scott laughed and said I was being dramatic, but I pulled up the contacts on my phone and deleted them one by one. When Scott's business fails and you need someone responsible to help pick up the pieces, don't call me. When you're old and Scott can't be bothered to visit, don't wonder why I'm not there. You made your choice and now I'm making mine. I walked out of that retirement party and never looked back.